chemical we're using today is for the P test, and it's called paraphenylenediamine. And it's a powdered crystal in this little jar, dry, and we're going to mix it with ethanol to make a liquid. It's a kind of nasty chemical. It stains everything that it touches black. So here's an example of where one little crystal got on a packet and stained down through it, and even onto the next side a little bit. So this is nasty. We don't want to get it on the countertops, on your clothing, on your fingers, anywhere. So we have to just be really careful with it. The other thing is you wouldn't want to breathe it. So that would be the thing I'd be most worried about, is breathing. It is also sensitive to light, so it needs to be stored in a brown bottle to keep the light from damaging it. And you can tell that it's getting too much light when it turns black. It's a sort of pinkish. You can't really see it in there, but when you dump it out, you see that. So the way we're going to use it, I have all the things we need for a p-test in this glass container, so that it's all ready. And this will be our waste jar, pea waste, peanut butter. And I'm going to open that so it's ready to go. When we're using pea, we try really hard to make as little waste as possible. So I have all my paper towels cut up into little tiny pieces, instead of using a big paper towel and trying to cram it into the pea waste jar, which then we have to dispose of. The other creepy thing is you mix it down in the bottom of this little dish, and then if you let it sit there overnight, it'll creep up the edges and creep over the side of a jar and down and stain the label on it. So it's pretty icky. Yeah. So, okay, to use it, we're going to just take the smallest amount of crystals that we can get out of this jar and put them in the spot test dish. It's a little bit awkward, and because you don't want to dump a lot in. But if you use your tweezers to do it, that might introduce something bad into the jar, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
There, I've got about 5 crystals in there, and that should be plenty. And now I'm going to put, are you ready?
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Oh, don't worry about the outside.
I'm going to put about 3 drops of ethanol in there. I notice one of these crystals is really dark, and that means it's starting to go bad. Let's see what happens. Then we take a capillary tube, and we're going to start with a clean one every day, but if you're doing more than one test, you can store it in this little jar. And notice that I put a double jar because of that creeping.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you'll throw this capillary tube away. When you're ready to use it, you're going to get a little bit in your capillary tube. Oh shoot, it went all the way to this end. And you can just see it's just pale orange, and it'll get more orange as it goes up. I can hardly see it now. I'm going to try and get that out of there. So, but before we do that, we have to get the p-test ready. The piece of lichen that we want to use ready. Today we're going to do Paraphenylia sulcata, because it has a nice P reaction. And I'm going to put it on a little piece of white paper so that the paper will absorb the color, and you'll see the color. If you can't see it on the lichen, you can see it on the white paper. That also makes it easy to throw away, because you just dump it into the jar. And razor blade. So on some P tests you don't need to scrape the cortex off. On others it helps to. So I'm just going to do it for this so you can see the reaction really well. And now you can sit here and we have the capillary tube there, we have the P there, and you're going to apply it to the little hole that I scraped in the cortex.
Okay.
And you will need to hold down the lichen with your forceps because it's wet. And dip it in there first. And your eyes are probably farther apart than mine.
Oh, it's all right.
And then as you watch, it will change, it will turn yellow and then it will slowly change to red. Is it red already?
It's turned yellow.
Good. And the reaction is different if you have, is stronger and faster if you have more P in the little dish. So is it turned red yet or orange?
It's turned orange.
Orange, yeah. So there are two basic P reactions. One, the colors, two colors. One is sort of orangey, getting reddish, and in some keys it talks about red versus orange, and I'm not able to tell that. And I think that the amount of P in your dish makes so much more difference than the chemical.
Yeah.
So red, orange red is one, and then there's another reaction that's just yellow, so it doesn't ever turn to red. And some P reactions are very slow. So what Bruce says, I think, to wait 5 minutes. So the yellow reaction is like a banana. It's really yellow. There's another reaction that looks a little bit yellowish, maybe, especially if you leave the cortex on. And that is, that's atranorine, which is in many lichens, especially in their cortex. And that one is so pale that you can't always see it, and it's not something that you're looking for in a P test. But if you especially are looking at a hypogymnia and you see sort of a pale greenish yellow that you can't really tell it's yellow, don't regard that as a positive test. So once the specimen is dry and you're sure that you saw the test, you dispose of that. And let's say we're cleaning up for the day. You'll want to clean off the glass slide with some ethanol. And you'll want to you'll throw away the capillary tube. And you'll want to clean out the small jar that the tube rests in.
And you want to clean out the petri dish. The spot test dish. The spot test, you can see the pea is already up to here, climbing up. So we'll have to be sure to clean all around there. If there are any crystals left, be sure you grab them and don't spill them on the table. And that should be it. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. Oh, I did have one. How do you tell if you need to scrape off the lichen to get to the cortex? Is it just experience? Or-
Yeah, it's
okay.
mostly experience, and I would just do it.
Do it,
all
and if
the
it doesn't
time.
show up,
Yeah.
then- okay.
Yeah. I would scrape it off all the time.
Scrape it off all the time,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because I think that makes it clearer.
Yeah.
So we could, oh shoot, I cleaned it all up. We could try to usnea. When you're doing usnea, the medulla is, oh, we better look at that. When you're doing usnea, the medulla has an axis inside. Are you familiar with usnea?
I am not.
So usnea is a fructose lichen, and it's the only genus that we have that has a central cord in the middle of it. Oh, this is really hard to see. Let's zoom in a little bit. So if you take a look at this, you'll see it's almost clear central cord, and then you'll see 2 green areas, and then you'll see the cortex on the outside of that. So when you're doing the P test, you want to apply the P and then watch that central area, not the cord and not the cortex. The cord might also change, but it's usually the medulla that changes a lot. And we could do, let's do one of them. Would you like to try dumping the P?
Sure.
So use the center one just so you know which one it is. And watch through the jar, you'll see it slowly coming down. It takes a while. Oh gosh, it's going really slow. You just need about 4 or 5 crystals. Okay.
And then a drop of ethanol.
Yep. A few drops of ethanol. Maybe another one. It's a huge crystal that came in there. Okay, and then we need to set up the glass slide with a piece of paper on it. And then cut that branch off that I sliced part way. And it's okay to destroy the specimen. Okay, and can you see the cut side of that branch? We do 3 different chemical tests really commonly. One is C, which is Clorox. One is K, which is KOH, and the last is P. And you don't ever want to mix them because C sort of destroys the P, makes it turn black. So you don't want to mix them. Okay, here you go. Or you can use the tweezers to touch the paper or the lichen.
You just get a little bit on the small.
Yeah, and you can sort of see it spread out, and if it doesn't, it can even get on the paper. That's kind of good because then the color will show up on the paper. And I don't know what that usnea is, so I don't know what the reaction's going to be. Is it turning pale yellow yet?
It looks more reddish.
Oh, great. Okay, I think that's it.
Alrighty, thank you.
Sure, thank you for coming.
Yeah.